Hello friends, welcome back and this is Santosh sir. And in this video, I'll be telling you few important questions of MCO 21, Managerial Economics. And ये chapter अभी recently add हुआ है MCOM में and the students are very much confused about this because they don't have the study material. Some students and previous years के question papers नहीं है IGNOU website पे, so there are a lot of confusions. So we'll be doing a quick revision of all the units. So do watch this video till the end. That will help you a lot in the exam preparation. And one thing more, that in managerial economics you will get case studies, either one or two, very mark fetching. For that you must have a clear concept. Otherwise you will fail to answer the case study questions, right? So economics बहुत ही lengthy chapter है एंड इसको हम लोग शॉर्ट में कवर करेंगे ऑल द यूनिट्स. बेसिक कंसेप्ट कुछ तो फायदा होगा आपको इस वीडियो से जरूर से, दैट आई एम डेट श्योर, राइट? सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द वीडियो एंड सबसे पहले समझते हैं कि मैनेजरियल इकोनॉमिक्स होता क्या है. एज द नेम इंप्लाइज, मैनेजरियल इकोनॉमिक्स मींस economics which is concerned with the management. Now what is the most important function of management? So management का main function होता है to take decisions. So managerial economics is nothing but to apply the principles, the methods, the techniques of economics while taking management decisions, right? So this is managerial economics, very simple. Then let's try to understand what are the main characteristics or features or nature of managerial economics. The first one, as just now I told you, that it is decision oriented. Like it is mostly used for the purpose of taking decisions by the management. Okay, right. Then next is micro and macro in nature. That micro means when economics studies the individual component, that is called microeconomics. And when the economics studies the the entire country or the whole world, then it is called macro. So managerial economics, like a country, a government can take decisions, so that is called macro. And when a particular firm takes decisions using managerial principles, so that is called microeconomics. Then the third one is economic principles. There are many principles in the economics like law of demand, elasticity, cost analysis, cost function, बहुत सारे हैं. तो ये सारे principles को use करते हैं while taking management decisions. The next one is goal oriented. It has a particular goal. Whenever the management studies the economic principles, then it has a definite goal to achieve. So that's why we generally say that managerial economics is goal oriented. It is targeted. It is meant to achieve a particular goal of a company. And lastly, it is dynamic. Dynamic means flexible. We can change our decisions as and when we require. We have to change according to the circumstances, according to the business environment, right? The next concept is why managerial economics is important, or why we study managerial economics. So I have written here, there are a lot of benefits. The first one is, to forecast the demand. What will be the probable demand of the commodity? So we can analyze that by using managerial economics. We can, find out the cost of production of a particular commodity, right? We can also find how much should be the production of one particular commodity, or during a particular period of time, how much product we should produce. Then we can also find out what should be our profit margin while fixing the price of the product. Okay. Then comes capital. How much capital, how much investment, or any project appraisal. So that can be studied by using this thing, managerial economics. And lastly, we can study the business environment, because business environment is a huge, it's a huge concept. So, economic, technological, political, social. So, all these factors can be studied effectively by using managerial economics. The next topic, actually, we have studied many times in the previous classes. And this is about, problems, economic problems. Why we study economics? Basically, there are three causes or three economic problems for which the whole economics have been invented. Okay, so the first one is unlimited wants. We have unlimited wants. When one want is satisfied, the another crops up. So we human beings are very greedy people. Then comes, limited resources. Whatever the resources we have, the minerals, water, the raw materials, so everything, limited in supply. They are scarce, but our wants are unlimited. So, to maximize our wants, we need the judicious use of resources, because we have to use these limited resources in such a way that we can satisfy our wants maximum. And the third, alternative uses of resources. One particular resource can be used for variety of purposes. Like for example, if we have a piece of land, we can construct a factory over there. We can construct a school. We can construct, a mall. So like that. So every resource has alternative uses, and we have to use like which is the best suitable type of use that we can put that resource into. The next one is a very important question for you, and this is about central problems of an economy. When we think about central problems, that means the problems of our whole country, the problem of the economy, right? So there are three problems. You might have heard about this in class 11 and 12 also. What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. So these are the basic, the central problems of an economy. The economy has to decide what type of goods and services it has to produce, whether it has to produce more of agricultural products or more of machineries, so like that. Then how to produce, like whether it will use a labor intensive technology, or labor intensive means where we use more of labor than technology or machines. And the other type is that capital intensive. So here we have to use more of capital and technology and machines to make production. So the country has to decide, because if we use capital intensive, the unemployment problem may arise, and if we use labor intensive, we will be a backward technology. So बहुत सारे problems हैं. Then for whom to produce, because हमारी इंडियन सोसाइटी यहाँ पे अपर क्लास है, मिडिल क्लास है, एंड देन वी हैव लोअर क्लास. तो कौन सी क्लास को टारगेट करना है, आइदर मिडिल क्लास, अपर क्लास और लोअर क्लास. तो ये भी एक बहुत बहुत बड़ी समस्या है, प्रॉब्लम है गवर्नमेंट के पास में, राइट. तो वो ये सारे. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज a very important questions. Whatever the question papers, the previous question paper that I have analyzed, उसके अंदर ये क्वेश्चंस मैंने बहुत बार देखा है. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ ए फर्म. एक फर्म, एक कंपनी, एक बिजनेस एंटरप्राइज की ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या होते हैं? बहुत सिंपल है. प्रॉफिट मैक्सिमाइजेशन, to earn more and more of profit. Profit is the lifeblood. Without profit, a firm cannot grow, develop. It's very simple. The second one is value, like to create value of its product and services, so that the customer can buy again and again of that particular product. So a firm should always have a object of creating or adding more values to its goods and services. The next one is market share. Now, market share means to capture the market, to expand the sales volume. In other words, so a firm has always, it will always hanker after increasing the sales. Okay, so like इस साल मतलब 10,000 units बेचा है, तो firm always target for some more in the next year, then again some more in the next year, next to next year. So like that. And lastly, environment concern. It should not pollute the environment, and eco-friendly. ये word आपको याद रखना है. It should produce only those goods and services which are eco-friendly, which do not pollute the environment. It is, it is the need of the day, because we people are very much concerned nowadays about the environment, right? So the company also have a very, very positive aim or object. Very important concept, and we will be studying about the different principles or techniques of marginal economics, managerial economics, sorry. So basically we study about three principles. One is equi-marginal principle, second one discounting principle, and third one, opportunity cost principle. And let's try to understand these three principles. You might get a question from this, very important one. Okay, now equi-marginal. First of all, we should know like what is this marginal utility. The utility that we get. Utility means usefulness of a product. The utility that we derive from consuming one additional unit of commodity. So that is called equi-marginal. Like say for example, these are units, and suppose this is the utility. So suppose first unit, second, third, fourth and fifth, and utility you get from this is 10, say this is 12, say this is 15, and then say it is 16, and let this be 14. So now from here we can get MU. MU means marginal utility. So what will be the marginal utility here? For the first unit it should be 10. For the second unit, subtract this 2. 12 minus 10 you get 2. For the third, 15 minus 12 you get 3, and here you get 1, and here you get minus 2. So like this. So this is called marginal utility. So when we get by consuming one additional unit. Now here for example, like we are consuming here first unit, and when we add one more unit to this, our utility changes to 12. Okay, so this is total utility. This is marginal utility. So you can describe with all these flow charts when you are describing this equi-marginal utility. That means, according to this principle, the marginal utility of different products produced or consumed should be equal, as the name implies, equi-marginal. Okay. Now comes discounting principle. Now for discounting principles, actually we can relate this to MCO 07. And we use for discounting principle one formula, that is to find out the present value of this. So we use this formula R1 divided by 1 plus I to the power of n. So this is very popular formula that we use for discounting. For example, we have an investment to make, and we want to know, like, in future what will be the value of the investment or what returns we are going to get from that. So we can use this formula to find out, yes, like how much will be getting. For example, आपने suppose 10,000 rupees आपने कहीं पे investment किया है, तो एक साल के बाद में what amount you are going to get. 10,000 से 11,000 मिलेगा. So 11,000 is your future value. Okay, the value of your investment after 1 year. So that is called discounting principle. And again, like opportunity cost. Opportunity cost, whenever we produce one commodity, we can produce this at the cost of another commodity. Like, whenever someone gains, the other person always loses to you. So this is, universal law. You can only gain when someone loses to you, right? So that's it. Like for example, suppose we have wheat and suppose say machines. Okay. Now if suppose we want to manufacture wheat, suppose 1 quintal of wheat, or else like we can also manufacture 10 pieces of machines. We can manufacture 3 quintals and we can take this as 7. We can manufacture 5 units and we can take this as 5. So like that, whenever we will sacrifice one commodity, we can only sacrifice one commodity for the other, right? So if you want to increase wheat production, we have to sacrifice the production of machines. So it is like that. So this is called opportunity cost principle. Very important. Concept is PPC, that is production possibility curve. And let's try to understand what is this all about. We have studied this in the previous classes too. Production possibility curve is it's a combination of different possibilities. Like we can better understand from a example. Suppose say these are combinations. We can also denote this PPC on a graph, right? Combination. And let's say this is wheat, and say these are cars. Okay. So suppose we have A, B, C, D. There are 4 combinations, and in the first combination you are not manufacturing wheat, you are only manufacturing cars. In the second combination, we are manufacturing 4 units of wheat and say this is 6 units of car. And again in combination 3, we are manufacturing say 5 units of this and 5 this. And in this, suppose we are manufacturing this and cast 0. So from this figure, we can easily predict what is this PPC all about. Now these are the different possibilities or combinations, and we have to choose which one is the best combination for us. So that is all about PPC, production possibility curve. Now suppose we have two choices, wheat and car. Okay, so we have to decide whether how much we have to manufacture wheat and how much we want to manufacture rice or car or anything else. So we need to choose the best combination, right? Whether in the first combination here we are not manufacturing any wheat, we are only manufacturing car. In the last combination, we are only manufacturing wheat and we are not producing any cars. In third combination C, we are equally manufacturing both the articles, and combination B, like proportionally the cars manufacturing is more than wheat. So like this, so this is PPC, and we can also plot this on a graph paper, and it is always it is concave to origin. I mean it will be like this, concave. Okay, so this is PPC curve. This is what PPC curve. It is always concave to origin. This is origin. It is always like this. Demand. Now, what is demand? Demand is effective desire. Just to have a commodity is not demand. In economics, demand means our desire, which are backed by purchasing power. If we do not have money to fulfill our desire, that is not demand. So these are called effective desires. So that is what I have written here. It is a desire backed by purchasing power. So that is called demand. And this one is a very, very important question. Got a lot of times in the previous paper also, I got this question. So what are the different factors that affect the demand of a commodity? The first one is the price. When the price of the commodity is increasing, the demand will fall, which is also known as law of demand, right? And income. If the income of the consumer increases, obviously he will be having more purchasing power, and with that he can consume more and more of goods and services. That is very simple. Then comes prices of related commodity. Now these related commodities, for example, tea and coffee, so they are related. If the prices of tea increases, obviously the people will demand more and more of coffee, right? So these are related goods, right? Then comes taste and preferences. It changes every now and then. The taste and preferences, styles, fashions of the consumer changes, and accordingly the demand also changes. Very simple. Then comes expectations, future expectations. If suppose the consumer assumes or expect that the prices of petroleum product is going to increase, so he will demand more of that commodity today. He will try to store that product because from tomorrow the prices of petrol is going to be hiked. So like that. Okay, so from this again, like we can also draw this one, law of demand. As just now I told you that it is a relationship between price and demand. So when the price of the commodity increases, the demand falls, and vice versa. It is very simple. And suppose, for example, let's take one commodity and let's say its price is 10 rupees, then it becomes 15. Suppose it becomes 20, then 25. Like that, for example, the demand is supposed to fall because the prices is increasing. So say suppose this one is say 100 units, and when it comes down to, it may be 80, then it may be 60, it may be 40. So like that you can draw one schedule. This is called schedule, and from this we can draw the demand curve. So demand curve is something like this, right? And always this y-axis is the price and this is quantity demanded. And when you plot this, like suppose this is 10, 15, 20 and 25, and let's say this is 40, 60, 80, and 100. So, you will get something like this. So, you will get, when you join all these points, you will get a curve like this. So, this is called demand curve, right? It always slopes downward. Elasticity of demand. Now, what is the elasticity of demand? It is the degree of change in the demand due to change in price. It is so simple. So we can write a very simple formula, that is, delta. Delta, that means, that stands for change. Okay. So change in demand by change in price. So it is nothing but it is a ratio between the change in demand and change in price. How much demand changes with a particular change in the price. So that is elasticity of demand. Now let's see what are the factors that affect the elasticity of demand. First one, same like it is of like जो हम लोगों ने अभी भी किया था, जो आप वही points describe करके लिख सकते हैं. What are the factors that affect the demand? Same, ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है, same वही same points हैं. Okay, ये देख लेते हैं like why this elasticity of demand is important. Why we study this? सबसे पहले तो it helps in pricing of a product. एक प्रोडक्ट की प्राइसिंग, क्योंकि उसका ट्रेंड हमें मालूम चल जाता है बाय इलास्टिसिटी कि भाई इतना चेंज होने से इतना चेंज होता है. सो दैट प्रोपोर्शन, दैट परसेंटेज वी गेट, ओके, तो वो हमें हेल्प करता है कोई भी नए प्रोडक्ट की प्राइसिंग के लिए. ओके, देन इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी, जो गवर्नमेंट जो फ्रेम करती है फॉर द होल कंट्री कि भाई लाइक व्हाट इज द चेंज, जो प्रीवियस पॉलिसी था एंड उसके पहले भी जो पॉलिसी था, तो वो कंपैरिजन करके वहां पे परसेंटेज एंड डिग्री ऑफ डिफरेंस कैन बी फाउंड आउट एंड अकॉर्डिंगली वी कैन फ्रेम न्यू इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज. एंड थर्ड वन, it helps in finding the exchange rates when doing international business or trade. So that also one. The next one is fiscal policy. Generally when you think about fiscal, always think about taxes and duties. तो ये जनरली फिक्स किया जाता है अकॉर्डिंग टू द इलास्टिसिटी ऑफ डिमांड. बिकॉज अगर डिमांड की इलास्टिसिटी अगर कम है, अगर गिर रही है, डिक्रीजिंग ट्रेंड में है, तो ऑब्वियसली गवर्नमेंट विल रिड्यूस द टैक्सेस. ठीक है, तो लाइक दिस, ऐसे बहुत सारे चीजें हैं, पॉइंट्स हैं जिनको लेके आप इनको डिस्क्राइब. ओके फ्रेंड्स, लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक. द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग. हाउ मच विल बी द डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग कंपनी करती है, लाइक कि भाई कितना एक पर्टिकुलर कमोडिटी का आने वाले टाइम में कितना क्या डिमांड हो सकता है. दैट इज कॉल्ड डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग. एंड इसके मेन ये जो फोरकास्टिंग होती है, इट्स सॉर्ट ऑफ प्लानिंग, राइट. एंड इसके मेन सोर्सेज क्या है, लाइक हाउ द कंपनी फोरकास्ट इट्स डिमांड फॉर ए पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट. तो बेसिकली यहाँ पे इट यूजेस थ्री मेन सोर्सेज और टेक्निक्स टू फाइंड आउट द डिमांड फॉर ए पर्टिकुलर कमोडिटी. तो उसमें सबसे पहले है एक्सपर्ट ओपिनियन. देयर आर मेनी एक्सपर्ट इकोनॉमिस्ट्स जिनसे ओपिनियन ले सकती है कि व्हाट विल बी द डिमांड ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट. ठीक है, सो दिस आल्सो मैटर्स. ऑब्वियसली दे विल चार्ज a certain fees for that, but doesn't matter because company it makes strategy on the forecasting कि forecasting इसकी डिमांड कैसे होने वाली है, एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट इसकी स्ट्रेटेजी और प्लानिंग और वो सब चीजें चलती है. तो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द नेक्स्ट वन, ये सबसे पॉपुलर मेथड है सर्वे. सर्वे करवा सकती है, पूरे मार्केट में सर्वे करवा सकती है टू फाइंड आउट कि लाइक व्हाट द कंज्यूमर सेज अबाउट द प्रोडक्ट, how they gives their feedback, like what they think about the product. So that is called survey. Survey भी again, like there are many surveys. They can also ask for this thing, salesman, जो सेल्स फोर्स है उनके ओपिनियन भी ले सकती है. Then it can also take opinion of shopkeepers, retailers जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं, and finally consumers. और बाकी के जो मिडिलमैन है उनसे भी we can make a survey of this. तो ये सबसे सिंपलेस्ट और सबसे पॉपुलर मेथड है सर्वे. देन इट कैन ऑल्सो कंडक्ट एक्सपेरिमेंट कि भाई एक नया प्रोडक्ट कंपनी ने लॉन्च किया तो उसको एक्सपेरिमेंट के तौर पे मार्केट में लॉन्च कर सकती है टू फाइंड आउट द रेस्पॉन्स ऑफ द कंज्यूमर्स. सो दैट इज कॉल्ड मार्केट एक्सपेरिमेंट. सो ऑब्वियसली लाइक ये थोड़ा सा टाइम कंज्यूमिंग एंड एक्सपेंसिव प्रोसेस है, बट इट्स अ कंक्रीट प्रोसेस, राइट. ओके, तो यहाँ पे the company can easily find out the loopholes which are there in its product from the customer's response, right? तो ये था डिमांड फोरकास्ट। ये चलते हैं प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन की तरफ। एंड प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन एक्चुअली व्हाट इज दिस ऑल अबाउट? प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन नाउ इट टेल्स अस the relation between input and output. Input means the raw materials that we use for the production purpose, and output is the finished product that we get after production. So it tells us the relation between these two, right? And when we talk about production function, you should understand these three things: TP, AP, MP. TP stands for total product, AP average product, and MP marginal product. Let's see what is the relation between these three. Now I have written here one simple schedule, units. Suppose this is units of labor, and this is the TP, total product, total production. Okay, so let's see how to find out AP and MP from this. Now AP stands for average product. That means when you will divide TP with units, you get AP. That is 50 by 1 is 50, 90 by 2 that is 45, 120 by 3 is 40, 140 by 4 is 35, this is 30, and this is 6 2 jars 5 jar 25, and this is 20. So this is your average product. And how to find MP, marginal product? Generally marginal product is find out from TP, total product. Now how to find? Suppose the first unit is 50, so write it here 50. Now second unit, you will subtract this two, 90 minus 50, you get 40. When you subtract 120 and 90, you get 30, like that. This will be 20, this will be 10, and here it will be 0, and here minus 10. So this is MP. So you can draw this schedule, and also we can explain this with the help of a graph. Now when you plot all these figures on a graph paper, you will see that your total product curve will be something like this. Okay, and this will be AP, average product, and let's see the marginal product. Marginal product will be like this, and do remember that when it is negative, it will come down from the x-axis and becomes negative. This is marginal product. So this is how the relationship can be established by using schedule and graph. Let's try to understand the new concept, law of variable proportion. Now according to this law, keeping other things constant, the production first increases at an increasing rate, then it increases at a diminishing rate, and then a constant rate, and lastly it will increase at a diminishing rate. So there are three stages of this law, right? Let's see. Let's try to understand with the help of a schedule first. Okay, this is units, this is TP. Now find out MP. MP is always calculated on TP. Just now I told you about this. So the first will be same, and here 4, this will be 5, and then we have 4, 3, and this is become minus 2, right? So this is MP. Now when you observe this, you will see that first it increases at an increasing rate, and then in this stage it becomes constant, and here it increases with a diminishing rate, and finally it becomes negative. So this is called first stage, this is second stage, and this is third stage, right? And this first stage is called increasing returns. Second stage is called constant returns, and the last stage is called diminishing returns. So there are three stages of this law, and we can also represent this in a graph paper. Just now I told you about this, that this is TP, and let's draw AP also. and MP will be something like this. So this is MP, right? So this stage, this is the increasing stage where the production increases. This is the first stage, and up to here, this is the second stage, and lastly, this is the third stage where the production increases with a diminishing rate. So this is how you have to explain. If you get a question from this concept is from production equilibrium, you might get a question to show the relationship between TC, TFC, TVC, AFC, AVC, and MC. Let's try to understand with a simple schedule. TC stands for total cost, TFC is total fixed cost, TVC is total variable cost, AFC average variable cost, average fixed cost, and marginal cost. Okay. Now suppose these two things are given. If not given, you have to plot. Okay. You have to draw the imaginary figures. Okay. See the total cost. When there is zero output, the fixed cost will always be there, 60. Right? It is always. Let's take this as 60. So this is 60 all the way. And then to calculate TVC, total variable cost, what we need to do, we will subtract these two, total cost minus total fixed cost. So it will be 0, this will be 18, and here 30, and this will be 42, and this will be 40, 52, right? So this is your total variable cost, and it always increases as the units of production increases. And to calculate AFC, so average fixed cost, what you have to do, to average, you have to divide total fixed cost with output. So 60 by 0 is 0, then 60 by 1 is 60, 60 by 2 is 30, then 60 by 3, 20, and this is 15. Like that we can calculate average variable cost when you divide TVC, that is total variable cost with output. So the first one will be 0, done. And then 18 divided by 1, you get 18. Then 30 by 2, you get 15. Then we have 42 divided by 3 is 14. And this will be 13. Now to calculate marginal cost, just now I told you about this. It is always calculated from total cost. So the first one is 60, but when output is 0, this will be null, right? And then you can subtract, right? So you can subtract this 2, this 2, this 2, this 2. So you get marginal cost. Okay, ये बहुत ही important question है friends. The difference between perfect competition, monopoly, and oligopoly. Actually, different types of markets are there, and these are the three different markets. Okay, perfect competition. Let's try to understand what are the differences. बहुत easy है, लेकिन बहुत important है. And perfect competition. There are large number of buyers and sellers here, like in vegetables and fruits market. And in monopoly, there are few sellers, but there are number of buyers, many buyers, right? So that is monopoly. And in oligopoly, somewhere between the combination of perfect competition and monopoly, that is oligopoly. Fine. And here the sellers sell homogeneous product, the same type of product. You might have seen the vegetable vendors or fruit sellers. So they have the same type of commodities. And here there are some differences between the products. And here also in oligopoly there are some differences according to the values or quality, right? Some extra features are added, like for example in automobiles. So that is a very good example of oligopoly, right? And here there are price takers. That means they cannot make price. Price is all automatically determined by the forces of demand and supply in the market. It automatically fixes. And here they are the price makers. They have their own price, and the customers have to buy at their prices. Fine. And here also they are the makers of the price, and they may charge different prices to different buyers. So there is a lot of price discrimination in case of monopoly and oligopoly. And again, this one, free entry and exit. That means any firm can enter and exit the market as and when he wishes. But here, entry is restricted. Like for example, railways. So it has the monopoly. No one can enter into the railways because it is directly controlled by the government of India. And in oligopoly, the same thing. The entry is very hard to get, and but you can exit the market as and when you like. ओके गाइस, एक्चुअली टाइम कम है, टाइम बहुत लिमिटेड है, बिकॉज वीडियो का लेंथ काफी लंबा हो गया है, तो थोड़ा सा इसको शॉर्ट कर देते हैं एंड मैं आपको थोड़े से कुछ और इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस गाइड कर देता हूं, सो दैट यू शुड नॉट एक्सेप्ट इग्नोर दिस क्वेश्चंस. These are likely to come in the exams. And apart from this, you should also you can get these things, case studies. Case study आते हैं एग्जाम्स में, एक या दो भी कभी कभी एग्जाम्स में देता है केस स्टडीज ऑन मैनेजरियल इकोनॉमिक्स. तो ये कुछ आपको करने हैं, जैसे द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अकाउंटिंग एंड अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट, डिफरेंस बिटवीन हिस्टोरिकल एंड रिप्लेसमेंट कॉस्ट, डिफरेंस बिटवीन एक्सप्लिसिट एंड इम्प्लिसिट कॉस्ट, डिफरेंस बिटवीन इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल एंड डिस इकोनॉमीज ऑफ स्केल, लर्निंग कर्व. इसके ऊपर आपको यू माइट गेट अ शॉर्ट नोट ऑन दिस, एंड कॉस्ट फंक्शन, very important one. Do revise this properly. The different types of barriers to the market, and again this one. This is also very important one. Short run and long run production cost curves and price discrimination. The different types of price discrimination, like first degree, second degree, third degree. So these were few important questions which you should prepare before going to the exams. So friends, thanks for watching. Best of luck for the exams.